Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright, people. Jarrell Miller makes his return to the ring. 10 round points decision over Ariel Esteban Bracamonte. Now, this fight just kind of came about very quickly. I think it was only about a week or so ago it was announced. And Bracamonte, I think it was less than that actually. But Bracamonte, I've seen him before. I've seen him against Romanoff. I've seen him against Dave Allen. And he is not a particularly good heavyweight. He's not a durable heavyweight either. You know, there are some heavyweights who are journeymen like Bracamonte who can go the rounds and they can make it awkward for opponent. Bracamonte strikes me as someone, well, he's been stopped a bunch of times in his career early at that, is someone who tends to just, I don't want to say withers, because he obviously showed a bit of guts against Dave Allen, but he doesn't take a shot the best. I think that's fair to say. And it wasn't just that Jarrell Miller didn't stop him, but Jarrell Miller never really put a dent in him. He never really made Bracamonte stop and think, because offensively Bracamonte was actually doing alright in this fight. I mean, he lost it, but Miller, I mean, Jesus, people. Where do I even start with this? You know, Miller's always been a big guy, but he really, I mean, he looked huge in there. And before the ban, his fat to muscle ratio wasn't that bad. You know, obviously Miller even admits he's a fat boy, but he had a bit of muscle on him as well, whereas the fat ratio was it's more now than it was. I mean, you would imagine the guy weighs 240 pounds, for God's sake. He is slow as anything in there, and he's so heavy that he throws nothing but arm shots. He physically can't rotate his body into any of these shots because he's just so heavy. I mean, if he tried, he'd be so slow because he's moving all that weight and having to shift that weight that he'd just get picked off. The opponent would have moved before he even got his shot off. Offensively, Miller did what he needed to do. You know, there was a few little flashes there of what we've seen from a few years ago. Obviously, ring rust plays a large part in that, and the fact that he is so heavy. You know, just going a bit off topic here. Jarrell Miller, I think it was the fight he had, might have been with Marius Vac, might have been with him, where I think it was late 2017, early 2018. He weighed about 280, which is still heavy, 60 pounds lighter than he is now, or back then than he was now. And for me, he looked a good bit better. He looked faster, probably looked to be hitting a bit harder, but according to him, at the time he felt not enough, even heavier. And in this fight, I mean, slow as anything, arm punches galore, defense. I mean, he was getting pieced up by Bracamonte early. Yeah, he wasn't getting pieced up, but Bracamonte did not find it hard to tag Jarrell Miller. He didn't. And if he'd have been in there with anyone in any way decent, to put it like this, someone like a Kamil Sakalowski, you would have given him a chance in there against Jarrell Miller looking the way he did, seriously. Because Sakalowski comes to fight, he's usually in shape, he can bang a bit. You'd have given him a good chance in there based upon this performance. Now, you got to take into consideration, of course, the ring rust. Is he clean? Is he not? I mean, I think most people will know my opinion on Jarrell Miller. And the fact that, you know, I almost feel as though, maybe it's, but I almost feel like the WBA are laughing at us by putting Jarrell Miller as was he the headline on their clean boxing card? Is that what they're calling it? It's like you couldn't have the poster boy for failed drugs test. You put him on this card. I mean, it's just, you can't make it up. But we'll go back to his performance. Yeah, he didn't look good. Looked slow, forcing a lot of his work. No real little flashes of kind of hand speed then and there, but few and far between. Getting hit quite easy by Bracamonte, but he did do enough to win, and we shall see what he does from here. In terms of the weight for Jarrell Miller, I mean, he's talked before about, even before the ban, going to 240, or not 240, 400. I mean, damn. And saying that, Bracamonte wasn't light. I think he was nearly 300. I think they said it was a combined like 600 pounds in the ring from both guys. I mean, I'd say the ring officials there in Argentina were praying that both guys didn't knock each other down, or you know the way sometimes you get two fighters, they fall into one another and they hit the canvas. Could you imagine the ring? I don't think the ring would have known that. I mean, like, Lord, I mean, could you imagine that a ring having 600 pounds just crash on it, like bang, the ring would have came apart. But in terms of the performance, I was semi-interested to see what Miller would look like. Seeing the training pictures of him, I was not surprised that he'd weigh in the 300s, not the 340s, but I said he's definitely north of 300, judging by the size of him. He looks it. But he's back. He didn't look good in this fight. A few flashes here and there of Miller, but again, couldn't put it down to Bracamonte. Bracamonte's been stopped several times by guys like Dave Allen, a couple of up-and-comers, and Miller never really hurt him. Now, Miller never really showed devastating punching power, even before the ban. Like, he was never someone you think of when you think of concussive heavyweight punchers. I'm sure you wouldn't want to stand in front of him and let him hit you, but he was more beating these guys and getting them out of there with volume as opposed to sheer brute concussive power. I mean, I think if you look at someone like Thomas Adamek, I don't think was that badly hurt by Miller when he got stopped by Miller. I think he realised that there's this big, huge guy coming at me, throwing a lot of punches, and I can't keep him off. And I think more so he kind of mentally checked out in that fight as opposed to actually being concussed. So we will see how Miller does. Before I end this video, if you could, let's just hear from the sponsors of today's video. Before we carry on, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. Gives you unrestricted access to all parts of the internet. The link is in the description and pinned in the comment section. ExpressVPN. Use the link provided, which says G-Man Boxing. You get 3 months free if you sign up for the 12-month subscription. So 3 months free for a 12-month subscription gives you unrestricted access. It can be used in several different countries, dedicated customer service line, great reports on Trustpilot, gives you access to Netflix, YouTube, HBO, Amazon Prime, etc., Sky Go. So pretty much gives you a little bit of everything. A way you can get sports online, a way you can get YouTube from different countries. ExpressVPN, massive shout out to them, sponsor of this video and newly sponsor of the channel. Can't thank them enough. So link in the description, have a look, help them and help me out as well. Peace, people. I gotta tell you, before I finish off with this, it's so crazy that there's actually sponsors on this channel now. It's crazy, absolutely crazy how far we've come over the last few years. But with regards Miller, moving forward, I think he's still with Dimitri Salita. They'll take their time with him. Do I think he should be given another chance? No, but is what it is. I will still watch him because I'm interested to see kind of how he looks moving on in fights. But if this is a starting point and not the end point in terms of how Miller's going to look, might be interesting. If this is him now as a fighter, he is not going to get anywhere near the levels he used to because he's so easy to hit. He's too heavy to get any real power into his shots, and he's as slow as anything. So for me, it's like, it's more the novelty of seeing a guy who looks like, you know, a big, I don't know, a big bear or something like that, just charge at someone huge. Like, think of it like this, right? Jarrell Miller's, one of his legs may weigh more, right, than Ted Cheeseman. So do you take Ted Cheeseman, the boxer, one of Miller's legs may possibly outweigh him. That's how big Jarrell Miller is. I mean, he's 340 pounds. So he is what? 300 pounds, or sorry, 200 pounds heavier than Josh Taylor at a weigh-in. Crazy how big he's got. And yeah, I mean, like, the pre-ban Miller, and obviously, as I said, he's been out of the ring for a long time, nearly 4 years, so maybe there's ring rust, maybe he is clean, who knows. But we need to kind of see how he goes from here. Do I think you should get another shot? No, definitely not, but it's boxing at the end of the day. There's always someone willing to commission you. But moving forward, if he is trying to be a contender in the upper echelons of the heavyweight division, he's a liability for promoters. He's a liability for other boxers. Like, that's not to say Eddie Hearn wouldn't work with him. I'm sure he probably would. But the risk, and what I mean by the risk is that you could put him in a big fight and he gets popped again. Like, you would want year-round consistent testing to be safe with this guy, because he's such a liability. I mean, this is a guy who accused Anthony Joshua, and it's always the way, isn't it? You'll always find the guilty always accuse the others. They always do it. The guilty party are always the one accusing others. And, you know, here's the thing. You'll always find this. You know, when you're growing up and your parents tell you, when the guilty is found out, they always go to one side. They always run away and they're never to be seen again. Completely untrue. Completely untrue. They're always blaming other people. They're always blaming other people and looking for a way back in. And that's Jarrell Miller. And is he clean? I don't know. I probably doubt it. But moving forward, they will want to be repeatedly testing him and making sure that he is ticking all the boxes. Have to. I mean, 3 tests, and not for small things. Serious substances. Crazy. That's my thoughts on this. Let me know yours in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a look at ExpressVPN. Thanks again to those guys for coming on board the channel. For now, lads and lasses, I'll talk to you. Smash the like button. It's been incredible the last few days. I mean, the last week we're up 200 subs. We're at 7,860 now. So last push to 8k, and then a big push to 9, and then close the year out on 10. Sounds like a plan. Let's do it. Peace.